I will never forget the times when people started saying that Bitcoin had the potential to go to $1 million. I thought it was going to take 20 to 30 years to get there. But as time went on and I started learning more about Bitcoin, learning more about blockchain, and learning more about cryptocurrency, I then came to the conclusion that it's actually more likely that we're going to see Bitcoin hit $5 million in our lifetime. I could see Bitcoin easily going to $1 million in the next 5 years. I say that for one main reason. Typically, every halving or halvening, everyone says it's slightly different, about a year later is followed by the bull market. Or you could say about 6 to 12 months later. Our last halving was in 2020. The next halving is scheduled for 2024. So I do think it's possible that within the next 5 years, we can see Bitcoin reaching $1 million. Adoption is only increasing. Institutional investing is only increasing. Every time a government tries to ban Bitcoin, in that country it only starts to trade at a premium. There is no stopping Bitcoin. So I do think Bitcoin can hit $1 million in the next 5 years or so. I also think that Bitcoin can hit $5 million in the next 20 to 30 years. In this video, I'm going to be getting into exactly why I think Bitcoin can hit $5 million in the next 20 to 30 years. So we know that the supply of Bitcoin is only ever going to be 21 million, but is it really? The truth of the matter is that many people have lost their Bitcoins over the years. They would mine their Bitcoin, have potentially hundreds, thousands of Bitcoins on these computers, and Bitcoin was barely worth anything, so people didn't take it seriously. Many people tossed out those computers, they lost access to wallets, and we know that Satoshi holds approximately 1 million Bitcoin. But if Satoshi's not alive and he didn't give anyone access, that's easily 1 million wiped off the table. So there's currently between 18, 19 million Bitcoin in circulation. Bitcoin that have actually been mined. I guess in circulation wouldn't even be the best way to describe it. But if 25% of all the Bitcoin is lost, we're really only ever going to see about 16 million Bitcoin in circulation. So at 21 million, Bitcoin is scarce. But if only 75% of the total supply is ever going to be available, it's even more scarce than we originally thought. My next reason why Bitcoin can go to $5 million is because I believe it is 10 times better and more valuable than gold. The current gold market cap is about $10 trillion. Bitcoin is so much more valuable than gold for so many reasons. The efficiency of it, right? Think about how long it would take for you to transfer, let's say, $100 million of gold to someone across the world. It would take weeks. It would have to cross so many foreign lines. It would cost so much money just to move that actual value of gold because of the weight of it. Bitcoin's so much better than gold because it's peer-to-peer. If I want to send Bitcoin to you, there's no one telling us that we can't do it. There's no government and there's no bank involved. There's no middleman. Therefore, that speeds up the process tremendously. Think about the process of sending a simple $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 wire through your bank. Sometimes you have to physically go in your bank. Not as much in the States, but in Puerto Rico, you have to physically go into the bank to make a wire transfer. And if you're dealing with a bank stateside, then they'll call you. If you miss the call, then you have to call back. You have to wait a while. You have to confirm your identity, confirm everything. There is so many strings attached when it comes to moving monies within the current banking system. Borders don't matter. Banks don't matter. Governments don't matter. They don't have the right. They don't have the ability if they want, if they don't have the ability basically to have any say of how you move your Bitcoin around. Obviously, we know exactly what the supply of Bitcoin is. We know for sure there'll be never more than 21 million, and we know there's a huge possibility that it's potentially 75% of the total actual supply that will be available for people to purchase. With gold, we have no idea what this total supply of gold is. There could be a bunch of gold discovered on Mars. And in that case, we're completely, or not we, because I don't hold any gold, the people that own gold will be completely screwed because that could send the price tanking if there's all of a sudden a massive amount of gold found one day. Think about it like this. You can easily store your 24-word hardware wallet password in your mind. You could travel across any border you want. You can get on any plane. you can hold right here hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars. There's no way you can hold millions of dollars in your suitcase and travel the world, cross borders, and go through airports. That would never happen. So think about it like this. The US government holds about 10% of the total gold supply. Imagine if the government, the US government I'm talking about specifically, wanted to hold 10% of the entire Bitcoin supply. That would make the demand go insane. Oh, quick interruption. This video is brought to you by my BlockFi referral link. If you want to go ahead and check out BlockFi, there's a link down below where you can get signed up and you can start earning interest on your Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies today. BlockFi is also having a promotion right now where you can earn 10% on your stablecoins. That is a 1.4% bonus from now all the way until the end of July of 2021. All right, back to the video. Think about it like this. Here's another perspective. There are 46.8 million millionaires, approximately, and they own about $158.3 trillion in assets. If all millionaires allocated just 5% of their assets into cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, that would be about $7.9 trillion added to the crypto market. There's not even enough Bitcoins for every millionaire to have just one Bitcoin. So let's say, for example, there only is ever going to be 16 million Bitcoins in circulation. And let's say, we take our number of about 48.6 million millionaires. If all of the Bitcoin was divided amongst all the millionaires, they would each only be able to own 0.34 of a Bitcoin. So that could be a bit of a goal for you to try to reach when it comes to your Bitcoin holdings. So this is a really interesting graph that my friend shared back on April 12th. There is something called the final Bitcoin cycle where people believe that Bitcoin won't have these major pullbacks like it has in the past. So basically it's like reaching a point where we have reached almost mass adoption. So check out this chart. He said, as the charts show, the availability of Bitcoin on exchanges traditionally has increased as prices rise. In other words, as price goes up, more coins flow to exchanges to be sold. And you can see that here. So basically, this gray line on the graph is the price, and the red is net transfer volume from or to the exchange. But the latest massive price run-up has seen net coin flow to exchanges decrease and actually go negative, in other words, as prices have spiked up. The number of coins available on exchanges for future purchase has declined, and not just by a little. And you could obviously see how the amount of coins that have been removed from exchanges has increased dramatically. There are many theories as to why, the most likely being that institutional buyers have arrived. They buy on the exchanges, but then very quickly move the coins off the exchange to more secure cold storage, as most all of us should. If the trend of institutional adoption continues, and it's hard to see how or why it won't, and we continue to see coin availability on exchanges decline as a result, there will soon come a time when coins can be sourced at anywhere near current prices. In that case, prices may gap up dramatically in a somewhat disorderly manner as panic buyers set in. Will this happen? Who knows? I wouldn't want to miss it if it does. Amen to that, Sean. So there's someone else in the crypto space that also agrees that Bitcoin can easily be 10 times more valuable than gold, taking the market cap to $100 trillion, making each Bitcoin worth $5 million.
And so I think it's a foregone conclusion at this point that not only is Bitcoin's market cap going to flip gold, it's just a question of how much bigger is it going to be? Is it going to be 2x bigger, 5x bigger, 10x bigger? I don't think we know. And the timeline is a question, but it's a foregone conclusion, in my opinion, that not only is Bitcoin a 10x improvement on gold, and the market cap is going to flip it at some point.
Another interesting point that my friend Sean made was that it's estimated that when BTC hits 200,000, more than half of the world's billionaires will be crypto millionaires. These are predominantly libertarian folks who will have a lot of wealth and power. You'll want to be playing on the same side as them. That means power in lawmaking, power in governments. It's going to potentially change the entire scope of our future. So I highly recommend that you go follow my friend Sean's blog. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put a link down below. Subscribe to his blog. I would say he posts blogs like once a week or once every 2 weeks. They're incredibly valuable, okay? And so what he mentioned in one of his recent blog posts was when it comes to digitizing things, it makes them exponential. Think about computers, think about the internet, right? And let me give you an example to better understand that. For example, when I had my food truck business, it was like, it wasn't a brick and mortar, but it was a mobile business and it was an in-person business. And, can only grow so much, right? There was so many limitations that I had into growing my business. But for example, if someone's selling products on Amazon, the upside is exponential and the growth rate is much higher. So think about gold versus Bitcoin, right? You can look at gold as like the food truck business, slow growth, right? Harder to expand, harder to grow, versus if I'm selling products on Amazon, I could easily go from 500K revenue a year to 10 million a year in revenue, simply because my audience is bigger, right? It's just bringing like the digital aspect of things plus computers and the internet. So the same pretty much goes when you compare gold and Bitcoin. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave you with the last paragraph from my friend Sean's recent blog post. So like I said, you guys, go subscribe to his blog, but I'm gonna leave you with this. But for you individually, well, your personal experience will depend very much upon how quickly and how much you gain personal exposure to the unbounded wealth of the digital sphere. Hit your wagon to the digital world sooner rather than later, and you'll have an opportunity for wealth beyond your wildest dreams. But resist or drag your feet, and you're likely to see your real world asset value slash, and without offsetting gains in digital realm. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and send it to one of your friends that is on the edge, just like really hesitant when it comes to crypto. Bitcoin is not going anywhere. And there's also this other component to the factor of this. Let's say you throw $500 at Bitcoin. Your upside is way more valuable than your downside. What's the worst thing that could happen? You lose $500. What's the best thing that can happen? You 10x or 20x your original investment. The downside is pretty low. The upside is massive. That's all I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.